Hi, and welcome to Ginger English. I'm Sarah, and today we have an A1 level podcast for you. Okay, so I need to tell you something. One night, a woman found a note in her car. The note said, "Thank you for being kind to me today. You saved my life." She did not know this man. She never saw him before. And then he was gone. What does that mean? How do you save someone's life and not know it? Stay with me. This story is real, and it will stay with you for a long time. My name is Sarah. Welcome to Ginger English. Today we have a story. It is a simple story, but it is also a big story. It is about a woman named Jess. Jess lives in Nashville, Tennessee. Nashville is a city in the south of the USA. It is a warm city. It has good music. A lot of people live there. Jess is not famous. She is not rich. She is just a normal woman. She works hard every day. She drives an Uber. Do you know Uber? It is an app. You open the app on your phone. You say, "I need a car," and a driver comes to you. Jess is that driver. Every day, she drives people around Nashville. She drives them to work. She drives them to the airport. She drives them home. It is not an easy job. She sits in the car for many hours. She talks to many people. Some people are nice. Some people are quiet. Some people are tired. Jess is okay with all of them. She just drives. She just does her job. Jess is in her late 20s. She has short brown hair. She always has coffee in the car. She likes country music, but not too loud. She is a simple person. She does not ask for much. She just wants to pay her rent. She wants to eat good food. She wants to sleep well at night. That is all. She is not looking for adventure. She is not looking for a big story, but sometimes a big story finds you. And that is exactly what happened to Jess. On one normal evening, in one normal car, on one normal street in Nashville. It was a Tuesday. It was about 8 o'clock in the evening. Jess was tired. She worked all day. She wanted to go home. But she got one more request on the app. One more person needed a ride. The name on the app was Daniel. The pickup was near a small park. Jess drove there. She saw a man. He was maybe 40 years old. He had a dark jacket. He had a bag. He looked quiet. He looked tired, too. He got in the car. He said, "Hi." That was all. Just hi. Jess said, "Hi, how are you?" He said, "Okay." And then nothing. Silence. Jess started to drive. She looked at the app. The destination was the bus station, the Greyhound station. That is where buses go to other cities. People go there when they want to leave Nashville, when they want to go far away. Jess drove. The music was low. Daniel looked out the window. He did not talk. Jess is used to quiet people. She did not push him. She just drove. But something felt different. She did not know why. She just felt it. Something about this man. Something about this night. She could not explain it. She just drove and felt something. They drove for about 15 minutes. The streets were quiet. It was evening. Not many cars, not many people, just Nashville at night. The lights of the city, the warm air. Jess had her window open a little. She liked the night air. It helped her stay awake after a long day. Daniel still did not talk. He just looked outside. Jess looked at him in the mirror just for a second. She did not want to stare, but she saw his face. He looked sad, not angry, not tired, just very, very sad, like a person who lost something, like a person who carries something heavy inside. Jess thought about saying something, but what do you say? She did not know him. She did not know his story. So she said nothing. She just drove, and the music played low, a soft song, a quiet song. Jess always played soft music at night. She said it was better for tired people. Then something happened, something small, but important. Jess stopped at a red light and she saw a dog on the side of the road. A small dog. It was alone. It looked scared. Jess looked at the dog and without thinking, she said, "Oh no, poor little guy. Are you okay?" She was not talking to Daniel. She was talking to the dog, like people sometimes do. You see an animal, you talk to it. It is normal. But Daniel heard her and something changed. He turned his head. He looked at the dog too. And then he almost smiled, just a little. But Jess saw it. She said, "Do you like dogs?" Daniel said, "Yes, I had a dog a long time ago." His voice was very quiet, like he did not use it much that day. Jess said, "What was his name?" Daniel said, "Rocky." And then he was quiet again. But it was a different quiet now, a softer quiet. Jess smiled. She just said, "Rocky is a good name." And she started to drive again. The light was green. They moved forward. But something was different now. Something small opened, like a little window between two people who did not know each other. Jess did not know it then, but that small moment, that little question about a dog, was important. More important than she knew. The bus station was close now. 5 minutes, maybe less. Jess could see the lights of the station. Big buses, people with bags, people going somewhere. Daniel picked up his bag. He was getting ready to leave. Jess pulled into the station and stopped the car. She said, "Okay, we're here. Have a safe trip." Normal words. Words she says every day. To every person. Daniel said, "Thank you." He opened the door. He got out. He closed the door and he walked away. Into the station. Into the crowd. Jess watched him for 1 second. Then she looked at her phone. She wanted to end the trip on the app, but then she saw something on the back seat. A white envelope. She picked it up. Inside, money, and a small piece of paper. She read it, and she stopped. She could not move. The words said, "Thank you for being kind to me today. You saved my life." That was all. No name, no number, just those words. Jess sat in the car. She did not move. She read the words again. "Thank you for being kind to me today. You saved my life." She read them one more time. And one more time after that? What did that mean? She was kind? Yes. She said hi. She asked about his dog. She played soft music. But saved his life? How? She did not do anything big. She did not do anything special. She just drove. She just talked. Like always. She looked at the money. It was $60. That was the price of the trip. He paid the normal price. But he also left this note. This strange, heavy note. Jess put the paper down. She looked at the station. People were walking in. People were walking out. Big bags, small bags, tired faces, happy faces. She looked for Daniel. She looked for the dark jacket, the quiet man with the bag, but she could not see him. There were too many people. He was already inside. Jess got out of the car. She walked fast. She went into the station. It was loud inside. Big hall, many people, buses leaving every hour. She looked left. She looked right. She walked to the middle of the hall. She looked around. She saw families. She saw students. She saw old people. But she did not see Daniel. She walked to the ticket desk. She asked the woman there, "Excuse me, did you see a man? Dark jacket, bag. About 40 years old. His name is Daniel." The woman looked at her. She said, "I see a lot of people." She was not rude, just tired. She sees hundreds of people every day. One man in a dark jacket, that is not easy to remember. Jess walked to the waiting area. Long benches, people sitting, people on their phones, people sleeping. She walked slowly. She looked at every face, row by row. But no Daniel. She walked to the doors where the buses leave. A man in a uniform stood there. Jess asked him, "Can I go in? I need to find someone." The man said, "Do you have a ticket?" Jess said, "No." He said, "Then you cannot go in." Jess stopped. She looked through the glass doors, buses, people getting on buses, bags going into the bottom of the bus, and then a dark jacket, a man, walking fast, getting on a bus. Was it him? She could not see his face, but it looked like him. The same bag, the same jacket, the same walk. She knocked on the glass. She said, "Daniel, Daniel." But he did not turn. Maybe he did not hear. Maybe it was not him. The doors closed, the bus started to move, and then it was gone. Jess stood there, at the glass doors, alone. The note in her hand, $60 in the envelope, and a question she could not answer. What happened to this man? What was so bad in his life? And what did she do, without knowing, that helped him? She walked back to her car. She sat down. She was not tired anymore. She was wide awake. Her heart was fast. Her mind was full. She looked at the note one more time. Such small words, but so heavy. She put the note in her pocket. She started the car. She drove home. But she did not think about the road. She did not think about the next trip. She only thought about Daniel, about his sad face in the mirror, about the word Rocky, about those words on the paper. She knew one thing. She could not just forget this. She had to find him. She had to know he was okay. Jess did not sleep well that night. She lay in bed. She looked at the ceiling. She thought about Daniel, about his face, about his voice, about the note. She picked up her phone. She opened the Uber app. She looked at the trip. She could see the pickup point. She could see the drop-off. She could see the time. But she could not see a last name. Just Daniel. And a phone number. But Uber does not show real phone numbers. It uses a special system. So she could not call him directly. She put her phone down. She tried to sleep, but she could not. At 2 a.m, she got up. She made tea. She sat at her kitchen table. She took out the note. She read it again. "Thank you for being kind to me today. You saved my life." She thought about the words. People say this sometimes. "Oh, you saved my life." Like when someone brings coffee. It is just a nice expression. Maybe Daniel meant it like that, but Jess did not think so. She looked at his face again. In her memory, the sad eyes, the quiet voice, the way he held his bag. Like that bag was the only thing he had. No, this was not just a nice expression. Something was wrong with Daniel. Something real. She was sure of it. In the morning, Jess called Uber support. She explained the situation. She said, "A passenger left a note. I am worried about him. Can you help me find him?" The person at Uber was polite, but the answer was no. They cannot share passenger information. It is private. It is the rules. Jess understood, but she was frustrated. She sat and thought, what did she know? His name was Daniel. He was about 40. He had a dog named Rocky. A long time ago, he was picked up near Riverside Park. He went to the Greyhound station. He was leaving the city. But where? And why? Then she had an idea. The pickup point? Riverside Park. Maybe he lived near there. Maybe someone knew him. It was not much, but it was something. Jess got dressed, she got in her car, and she drove to Riverside Park. It was a quiet morning. The park was green. A few people walked their dogs. Some people ran. Jess parked and walked in. She did not have a plan. She just walked. She looked at the people around her. She saw an older man on a bench. He had a coffee cup. He was just sitting and watching the river. Jess walked to him. She said, "Excuse me, I'm sorry to bother you. Do you come here often?" The man said, "Every morning, 20 years. Jess said, Do you know a man named Daniel? About 40? He lived near here. The man thought for a moment. Then he said, Daniel, quiet guy. He used to come here with his dog, little dog, named Rocky. Jess felt her heart jump. She said, yes, that's him. Do you know where he lives? The man looked at her carefully. Why do you ask? Jess took a breath. She took out the note. She showed it to him. The man read it slowly. He read it again. His face changed. He looked at Jess, and he said quietly, oh no, Daniel. Jess looked at the man. She said, you know him? The man nodded. He looked at the river. He was quiet for a moment. Then he said, my name is George. I am 72 years old. I come to this park every morning. And for 2 years, Daniel came here too, every morning, with his dog Rocky. We talked, not much. But we talked about the weather, about the river, about small things. He was a good man, a quiet man, but good. Jess sat down on the bench next to George. She said, what happened to him? George was quiet again. He looked at his coffee, then he said, about 6 months ago. Rocky died, the dog. He was old, and Daniel, he was never the same after that. Rocky was everything to him. He had no family here, no wife, no kids. His parents are gone. He worked at a small shop, but he lost his job too. Last year. Everything went wrong at the same time. The dog, the job, the money, everything. Jess listened. She felt something heavy in her chest. George continued, he stopped coming to the park. I saw him sometimes on the street. He looked bad, thin, tired. I asked him, Daniel, are you okay? He always said yes. But you could see, no, he was not okay. Not at all. George stopped. He looked at the note in Jess's hand. He said, and now this note. He left this note in your car. It was not a question. It was like he understood everything. All at once. Jess said, yes, last night. I drove him to the bus station. He left this, and then he was gone. George closed his eyes for a second. He said quietly, I was afraid of something like this. I saw him 2 days ago on the street. He had that bag, and he looked empty, like there was nothing left inside. Jess felt her hands get cold. She said, George, do you think he wanted to hurt himself? George did not answer right away. Then he said, I don't know. I hope not. But that note, you saved my life. Why does a person write that? Why? Jess stood up. Her mind was moving fast. She said, I need to find him. Do you know where he was going? Did he say anything? George thought. He said, he talked about his hometown once, a small place, Cookeville, about an hour east of Nashville. He grew up there. His parents' house is still there, empty now, but still there. He said once, if everything falls apart, I want to go home. Jess repeated the word quietly. Cookeville. She took out her phone. She looked up the Greyhound schedule. Nashville to Cookeville. 1 bus every day. It left last night at 9:15. She picked up Daniel at 8. She dropped him at 8:20. The bus left at 9:15. He had time. He was on that bus. She was almost sure. She looked at George. She said, thank you. Thank you so much. George looked at her. He said, young lady, why are you doing this? You don't know this man. You drove him one time. Why do you care? Jess thought for a second. Then she said, because he said I saved his life. And if that is true, even a little, then you matter. And people who matter deserve someone to show up. George looked at her for a long moment. Then he nodded slowly. He said, go. Go find him? Jess walked back to her car fast. She got in. She sat for a second. Cookeville, 1 hour east. She looked at the time. It was 9 a.m. She had no trips booked for today. She was free. She took a breath, and she started the car. The drive to Cookeville was quiet. The highway went through green hills. Tennessee is a beautiful state. Trees everywhere, small towns, old barns. Jess drove and thought. She thought about Daniel, about everything George told her: no family, no job, no dog, no Rocky. All alone in a big city with nothing left. She thought about how that feels, to lose everything, one thing after another, until you have nothing, until you feel nothing. She thought about the ride, that short ride, 15 minutes. She said hi. She asked about his dog. She played soft music. That was all. How can that save a life? How can such a small thing matter so much? But then she thought maybe that is exactly why. Because it was small, because it was normal, because for 15 minutes someone treated him like a normal person. Not a problem, not a sad story, just a person, just Daniel. Maybe that was enough. Maybe that was everything. She arrived in Cookeville at 10:15. It was a small town, quiet streets, old houses, a few shops, a church, a gas station. She stopped at the gas station. She went inside. She asked the man at the counter, "Excuse me, I'm looking for someone. His name is Daniel. He grew up here. His parents had a house here. Do you know a family with that name?" The man said, "Daniel who?" Jess said, "I don't know his last name. He is about 40, quiet, brown hair." The man thought. He said, "There was a Miller family. They had a son named Daniel. Both parents passed away. The house is on Elm Street, number 14, but nobody lives there now." Jess said thank you. She got back in her car. She found Elm Street on her phone, 2 minutes away. She drove there slowly. Number 14, a small white house. Old. The paint was peeling a little. The garden was dry, but the house was still standing. Still there. Waiting. Jess parked in front. She sat and looked at the house. Was Daniel here? Was he inside? She got out. She walked to the front door. She knocked. Once, twice, nothing. She knocked again, louder, still nothing. She stepped back. She looked at the windows. The curtains were old and thin. She walked around to the side of the house. There was a small window. She looked in. She could see a kitchen, old table, 2 chairs. And then on one of the chairs, a dark jacket, Daniel's jacket. He was here. She went back to the front door. She knocked again, very loud. She said, "Daniel, my name is Jess. I drove you last night. Please open the door. I just want to talk. Please." Silence. She waited. 10 seconds, 20, then a sound. Footsteps, slow, coming to the door. The door opened, just a little, and Daniel stood there. He looked at her. His eyes were red. He had not slept. He looked surprised, like he could not understand what he was seeing. He said very quietly, "How did you find me?" Jess looked at Daniel. She said, "Can I come in? Please. Just for a few minutes." Daniel looked at her for a long time. Then he stepped back and opened the door. Jess walked in. The house was small, old furniture, old pictures on the walls. It smelled like dust and old wood, but it was clean. It was quiet. It felt like a place that remembered better times. Daniel stood in the middle of the room. He did not sit. He just waited. She went back to the front door. She knocked again, very loud. She said, "Daniel, my name is Jess. I drove you last night. Please open the door. I just want to talk, please." Silence. She waited. 10 seconds, 20, then a sound. Footsteps, slow, coming to the door. The door opened just a little, and Daniel stood there. He looked at her. His eyes were red. He had not slept. He looked surprised, like he could not understand what he was seeing. He said very quietly, "How did you find me?" Jess looked at Daniel. She said, "Can I come in? Please, just for a few minutes." Daniel looked at her for a long time. Then he stepped back and opened the door. Jess walked in. The house was small, old furniture, old pictures on the walls. It smelled like dust and old wood, but it was clean. It was quiet. It felt like a place that remembered better times. Daniel stood in the middle of the room. He did not sit. He just waited. Jess said, "I read your note. I could not forget it. I could not just go home and pretend I did not read it." Daniel looked at the floor. He said, "I did not think you would come." Jess said, "I met George in the park." Daniel looked up. He said, "George?" Just the name. "Like a memory." Jess said, "He told me about Rocky, about your job, about everything." Daniel was silent. His eyes got wet. He sat down on the old sofa. He put his hands on his knees. He looked at the floor. Jess sat down too, not too close, just nearby. She said, "Daniel, before you got in my car last night, what were you thinking?" A long silence. Then Daniel said, "I had a plan to not be here anymore." His voice was very low, almost a whisper. Jess felt her chest tighten. She said, "And then?" Daniel said, "And then I got in your car. The music was soft. You said hi, like I was a normal person. And then you saw that dog. You talked to it like it was your friend, like every small thing matters." He stopped. He breathed slowly. He said, "I had a dog. I loved that dog more than anything. And when you asked about Rocky, something moved inside me. Something woke up. I thought, there are still people who talk to dogs on the street, who play soft music, who say have a safe trip and mean it. Maybe the world is not so empty." He looked at his hands. "I got on the bus. I came here, to my parents' house, maybe to remember, maybe to feel something again." Jess said, "I'm glad you got on that bus. I'm glad you are sitting here right now." Daniel looked at her. He said, "Why did you come? You drove me 15 minutes. Why?" Jess said, "Because you said I saved your life. And if that is true, even a little, then you matter. And people who matter deserve someone to show up." Daniel looked at her. His eyes were full. And then, slowly, he cried, not loudly, just quietly, like something old and heavy finally came out. Jess did not move. She did not say anything. She just sat there, and that was enough. After a while, Daniel wiped his eyes. He said, "I don't know what to do now." Jess said, "That's okay. You don't have to know right now, but you are not alone, okay? You are not alone." Daniel nodded, very slowly. And outside, the Tennessee sun came through the old window, warm and quiet, like the world was saying, "Yes, stay. It is worth it." So, that is the story of Jess and Daniel. A 15-minute car ride, one small question about a dog, soft music, and 2 words, "Have a safe trip." That is all she did. And it was enough. It was everything. I think about this story a lot because it says something important, something simple, but true. We never know what another person is carrying. We cannot see inside someone's heart. We cannot know what their day was like, what their year was like, what they lost, what they are afraid of. We just cannot know. But we can be kind. We can say hi. We can ask a small question. We can play soft music. We can treat every person like they matter, because they do. Every single one. Jess did not know she was saving a life. She was just being herself, just being a good person, just doing her job with kindness. And that kindness, that small, quiet kindness, it reached Daniel at exactly the right moment. 1 minute earlier, 1 minute later. Maybe it would not have worked, but it did. It worked. And Daniel is still here. After that day in Cookeville, things did not get perfect. Life is not like that. Life is slow. Life is hard work. But Daniel got help. Jess helped him find a counselor in Nashville. George from the park visited him. Daniel came back to the city. He found a small job. He started walking in the park again every morning. Slowly, slowly. Things got a little better. And one day, a few months later, he got a new dog. A small one. He named him Rocky, because some names stay in your heart forever. And Rocky, that little dog, gave Daniel a reason to get up in the morning, to walk to the park, to sit on the bench next to George, to be part of the world again. And Jess, she still drives Uber every day. Brown hair, coffee in the car, soft music. And now, every time someone gets in her car, she says hi. She asks one small question. She plays soft music because she knows you never know what your kindness can do. You never know whose life you are touching. With the smallest word, with the softest song, with a simple question, what was his name? I love this story. I love it because real things like this happen every day. In cars, in cafes, in parks, on streets, small moments, big meaning. And I think if we all try a little more to really see each other, the world gets a little better. One car ride at a time. Okay, that is all for today. Thank you so much for listening to Ginger English. I hope this story was good for your English and good for your heart too. If you liked it, please give us a like. It helps so much. And share this with a friend. I am Sarah, and I will see you next time.